Okay, so this should be where we left off in our notes yesterday. So make sure you have your notes from yesterday out, and if you need additional paper, go ahead and get that out at this time. Okay, so we talked about yesterday how Tecumseh is going to be the Shawnee chief. So he's a Native American living in the Northwest Territory, and he's going to start to have problems with William Henry Harrison, who is the territorial governor in the Northwest Territory, right? So William Henry Harrison is kind of leading the settlement for the area. And Tecumseh no longer wants the United States to be able to settle in that region. So he's going to form a confederacy, so basically like a little Native American army, to resist this settlement. Okay, so as he begins to try to resist it, you're going to have the Battle of Tippecanoe. So this is when him and Harrison are actually going to come head to head at the Battle of Tippecanoe. And what's going to make the United States very angry is that the person or the people supplying the Native Americans with weapons are the British. The British are the ones that are giving them goods, because still at this point the British have forts and areas within the United States, even though, the colonists won the American Revolution. But they are helping the Native Americans fight against the United States. Okay, so the next thing you need to have in your notes is that a group of congressmen called war hawks are going to be found in Congress. And they are going to demand that the United States go to war with Great Britain. They're going to try to convince people so passionately that the United States should, in fact, go to war with Great Britain because of all of the things that are happening. Okay, so these war hawks are going to use their pull in Congress to convince congressmen to vote for a war with Great Britain. So they're going to be the people who encourage everybody to go to war. They are so fed up with everything that the British are doing. The leader of these war hawks is known as Henry Clay, okay? And he's going to come into play a lot in the next couple of weeks as we continue to learn about this time period. But right now, he is just a war hawk that is going to lead the mission to go to war with Great Britain. Okay, so the U.S. is going to declare war on Great Britain. Okay, so make sure you have that written in your notes. This war is going to be opposed by the Federalist Party, and they're going to make this opposition known at the Hartford Convention. Okay, so the Federalist Party are going to say, no, we don't need to be going to war with Great Britain. Okay, they are going to oppose the war because they favor peace, and they also favor trade. They think that this is only going to hinder the American economy. Okay, that's just showing you that it's at the Hartford Convention. Okay, so kind of three aspects are going to develop out of the war. Okay, there are going to be three areas where you're going to see a lot of the War of 1812 happen. Okay, the first area is war in Canada, because who owns Canada? The British do. Okay, the war at sea. What is Great Britain known for? They are known for having the most powerful navy in the world. Okay, so it's probably not a good idea to go up against their navy, especially during this time period in the United States when our navy wasn't very strong. Okay, and then also you'll see the attack on D.C., which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Okay, so the war in Canada. The war hawks, so we talked about the men who are in Congress who are encouraging the United States to go to war with Great Britain. They're going to want to invade and conquer Canada. So they're not just defending what is ours in the United States. They're actually going forward to try to take other things that belong to Britain. The most important battle in Canada is going to be with the USS Constitution. This is won against Great Britain on the Great Lakes. So if you know where the Great Lakes is, up north, that's exactly where this battle is fought. And it's led by Commander Oliver Hazard Perry. Hold on, let me go back to that 1 second. Okay, so this battle is important because it is a U.S. victory against Great Britain. Okay, so the next thing is the war at sea. So again, we said that the British Navy is extremely powerful. Okay, the British are going to blockade the United States. You got to think about what a blockade is. That's when they're going to prevent people from going somewhere, right? with ships, because of course we're talking about the Navy. Okay, they're going to keep U.S. ships in the port. So basically, U.S. ships cannot sail out of their port because the British ships are surrounding them. Okay, so they can't go anywhere. The third part of the war is the attack on D.C., and this is probably going to be the point where the United States realizes that this war isn't a very successful one for them. The British are going to burn many buildings, including the White House. So with the attack on D.C., you need to put this under that. The British are going to burn many buildings, including the White House. Okay, so there's a nice little pretty picture of the White House. They are also going to attack Baltimore. Okay, so Baltimore's in Maryland. The Star-Spangled Banner, which is written by Francis Scott Key, is salvaged from the Boston attack. Okay, so now we're at the end of the war, so that needs to be the next thing in your notes. One battle that is major at the very end of the war, really after the war was already over, is the Battle of New Orleans. Okay, this is won by the U.S., so make a note that this is won by the United States. Okay, and it is led by General Andrew Jackson, who will later become a U.S. president, and he's going to use this battle to help his campaign a lot later. Okay, this is an actual battle that occurs after the war has ended. Okay, so you've got to think, during this time period, they didn't have cars, they didn't have telephones, they had no quick way of communication. So it's going to take a couple of weeks for certain generals to get information and realize that the war is over. Okay, so this is exactly what happens in the Battle of New Orleans. Andrew Jackson wins this battle after the war is actually over. Okay, there's a picture of Andrew. He is going to be considered a war hero because of this war. Okay, the next thing is the outcome of the War of 1812. Okay, outcome is just another word for effects. So when we're doing our chart later, you know where to find that information. Okay, the treaty that ended the War of 1812 is called the Treaty of Ghent. Okay, this is going to end the war between the U.S. and Great Britain. And it's going to be considered kind of a tie. Although, if you think about it, okay, the British are going to completely burn down the White House. It's pretty much a British victory. Okay, but they're going to consider it more of a tie. Just because there wasn't a clear, definition or a clear image of who actually won. Okay, so this treaty ended the war. Okay, so some information you need to put below tie is that after this war, or under this treaty, it is going to reopen trade between the U.S. and Britain. So they're now trading again. It is going to not have any land that is exchanged between the two. So basically, the British didn't lose any of their territory, and the United States did not lose any of their territory. So it was not one of the wars that we have talked about that they were fighting over a specific area of land. And this is the last conflict that the United States is ever going to have with Great Britain. In future wars, such as World War I, World War II, the United States is always going to be on the same side as Great Britain. Okay, so you wouldn't think that they would be as good of friends as they are today, but this is the last war that they're going to have against each other. Okay, so continued, the effects of the War of 1812. Okay, one thing is nationalism. Okay, so just think about what you think nationalism is. Nationalism is basically just a strong, strong pride in one's country. So beside nationalism, you need to write that. Nationalism is a strong pride for one's country. Okay, so it's very similar to patriotism, except for it's extreme. Okay, this is going to be considered or called the Second War for Independence. So if I put on your test what was another nickname for the War of 1812, it's going to be the Second War for Independence. Okay, what was the first war for independence? The American Revolution, right? Okay, so this is the Second War for Independence. Okay, this is going to mark an end to the Federalist Party. Okay, so this is where we're going to see political parties transitioning once again, and we'll talk about, that transition a little bit more later. Okay, your next assignment, go ahead and read the directions right here, and once you have read the directions and understand the directions, you might want to make a note on your piece of paper of what you're going to be doing. I'm going to put you in groups. You may put your Chromebooks up and get prepared for that assignment.